Hey guys, welcome to Embers Only Barbecue. Today we're going to show you how to make wagyu beef shawarma on the Kamado Joe Joetisserie. First we're going to break down meat selection, then we're going to show you how we do the marinade, then the grill setup, walk you through the carving, and finally the sandwich construction. If you like that, hope you hit subscribe, leave us a comment. Enjoy. Meat choice is super important on this, so you gotta think through a couple different things. You can go with a skirt steak, you can go with a flap, you can go sirloin. Just be aware of the grain that's going on in your meat, and make sure that if you're going to be slicing with the grain, like you will if you have a skirt steak, a couple of the cylindrical slices will be with the grain, that you're cutting them super thin so that they don't get super chewy. We ended up settling on a beautiful wagyu rib roast, aka prime rib, boneless. The wagyu is going to give us some great marbling, and that fat is just going to drip into the meat, and as it spins it's going to just constantly baste it. So we're going to slice this up into thin pieces and then get that all seasoned up and marinated overnight. We've sliced our rib roast nice and thin, probably about a ½ inch, and we've got some beautiful wagyu marbling in here. That fat is just going to be amazing. So then for the marinade, we're going to start with some olive oil. Definitely don't go too much now, because this can drip and smoke up on the grills. This is just as a binder for all of the ingredients we're about to throw on. So then kosher salt, fresh cracked pepper, okay, my secret sauce or secret spice is this bearberry blend. It's cinnamon, coriander, North African, Middle Eastern spice blend. It's amazing. Really gives you some crazy flavor, and we're pretty aggressive with that. Then we got a little cumin. And then we've got 1 chopped red onion and 5 cloves of garlic that are going in. And then we're just going to get these steaks into a freezer bag, and we're going to put this in the refrigerator overnight to marinate. Grill setup is super important on this. We want to have our coals banked up towards the back, and that's so we can get nice, even heat all coming in this direction. If you have it underneath, you're going to get fire coming straight up, and we go into a lot of this in our video on tips and tricks with the Joetisserie, so be sure to check that out. We're going to get these cubes lit, and we're going to let this come up to about 350-400 degrees to start the spin, and we're going to add in some wood blocks right before we throw the meat on. We've been running open for about 10 minutes here with the fire cube starting up. Our bottom vent is wide open, lid's been wide open. We're about to close it. One thing I like to do is just measure where the far end of my tine is going to go at this point, so that when I start building my meat on the spit, I know where my far end is. So if I've got a ton of meat coming on, I'll set it for right here at the far left end. For this one, since it's not as much, we're going to be more centered. So we're going to come in just like that. And note, when you're setting up the Joetisserie, you want the name Joetisserie to be perfectly centered right here on your clamp, and come out with it a little bit. That's going to ensure that the lid, when we close, closes correctly. So we want it to be nice and flush, just like that. So we're going to let this warm up to about 350-400 degrees and go from there. All right, let's build this spit out. So we've got our thin sliced ribeye steaks that marinated overnight. And notice how, since they're oblong, we're going to want to clock them as we go. So we want to be having multiple tines contact on as many pieces as we can, just to keep the construct nice and tight. And then on the next one, we're going to come down and angle it a little bit away from that last one, and we're going to come in a clockwise fashion all the way up until we get to the top here. We got this whole thing loaded up. I did take a sharp knife and I cut off some of the pieces that were elongated and really flopping around. So just to preemptively fix that, we chopped those off and put them right up top and clamped down hard. You want to make sure that on the tines you come down super tight. You don't want this thing to get loose at all, but it's nice and tight. We got a ton of Wagyu beef on this thing. It's ready for the grill. Grill stable at 400 degrees. We're going to get this on to our Joetisserie like that. We're nice and centered and start the spin. "40 minutes in, we're going to do our first ceremonial carving. Basically all the pieces that are sticking out are nice and done, so we're going to trim up the cylinder. I'm going to get this off the spit and carved up, but this looks amazing. Okay, so we put this up right here. And then you can use an electric carver or a really sharp knife, and just, you want to be very thin as you come down. And we're just going to trim this up just like that. But first bite, it's outstanding, great crispiness to the crust, super juicy on the inside. We'll carve up the outside here and then get back to it. We're going to get it back on the spit now. We carve this up into a pretty even cylinder, just like that. We'll come back in. 1 hour in, we're about to do our second carving, but just to prepare this, I like to rub it with a little foie gras mousse, just to help develop flavor on the crust and bring additional richness to this steak. But it is just a delight. It melts right on, and it tastes so good. You see it just melting and dripping there. Totally optional. You can do this with beef tallow, duck fat, even mayonnaise with your bearberry. We love foie gras. 1 hour in at 400 degrees, we're going to pull this off and do our second carving. And we're going to use our electric carver. We want to be, remember, we want to be nice and thin. We've got great crust development. Nice and juicy, and we're going to get down to the level of the tines. One hour and 35 in, we're registering medium rare on the inside. So we're going to take this completely off the spit. We're going to get all of our steak off and sliced up nice and thin. And it looks and smells terrific. So you got lots of done parts, crispy parts, and then on the inside we're going to have some nice, less cooked pieces. So now we're going to get the steak off. So you got these beautiful crispy pieces up top. Super juicy. So that's our shawarma. And then you want to slice it really nice and thin for the sandwiches. Just like that. And they are perfect. Let's talk sandwich construction. We've got warmed garlic naan, then a yogurt sauce we made with unseasoned Greek yogurt, bearberry, lemon juice, and fleur-de-sel salt. Then we're going to throw in some of the beautiful meat. And then on top of that comes a vegetable medley of tomatoes, cucumbers, and onion seasoned with salt. It's amazing. Really appreciate you watching. If you like that, hope you hit subscribe, leave us a comment, and let us know what you thought about the whole thing. Thank you.